Hi everyone, I hope you're all well and welcome to episode 86 of the James Layton Fitness Podcast. Now in this particular episode we'll be discussing carbohydrate to fat ratios because I think there's a false assumption that people believe there's a magic carbohydrate to fat ratio that can be used to basically lose more body fat. People have this interpretation that if they have this magic carbohydrate to fat ratio, they're going to lose fat at a higher rate, they're going to maintain more muscle mass, etc, etc. And I first of all just want to blow this myth out the window. And the reality is, within the context of a fat loss phase, protein and total calories really are the most important factors. As such, let your personal preference dictate the carb to fat ratio. With regards to fat loss, it makes no difference whatsoever the carbohydrate to fat ratio, as long as you're meeting sufficient protein and as long as you're meeting your daily calorie targets. Now, with that being said, it's important to note that there are a couple of other considerations we need to think about before actually deciding on a carb to fat ratio within the context of total calories and sufficient protein. And the first is our secondary objective within the fat loss phase, and that secondary objective within the fat loss phase is trying to maintain as much muscle mass as possible. Therefore, we really want to be trying to preserve our gym performance, trying to preserve our strength in the gym, and as a result will better preserve lean muscle mass within the fat loss phase. And as such, this will certainly play a factor in the carbohydrate to fat ratio you choose within your daily calorie and macronutrient targets. And for the most part, most individuals will generally do better on trying to preserve as many carbohydrates as possible. These have a direct impact on the training sessions themselves. By having more carbohydrates, this will help to preserve strength and therefore preserve lean muscle mass within the fat loss phase. Therefore, this is one consideration to think about when you're deciding your carb to fat ratio. However, on the flip side, it's important to note that we don't want to drop our fat too low. Fats are essential for survival. Additionally, they play a big role in hormone production. So for the most part, I tend not to like to drop fat below 30% of total calories. Now, this isn't a black and white figure, and there may be certain contexts, i.e. someone trying to get ultra lean for a competition, where you may for a short period of time drop these even lower than this. However, for the most part, I like to keep them approximately 30% of total calories. So that's another consideration to think about. Two things. One is trying to maintain our gym performance as best as possible, trying to maintain strength and muscle mass within the fat loss phase, and also trying not to allow our fat to drop too low, which are essential, and also this can have an impact on hormone production. However, with that being said, one of the things that's been coming out in the literature of late is even though fats do have an impact on hormones, with regards to some of the physiological changes that happen, the negative physiological changes, some of those big hormones dropping within a fat loss phase, a lot of it's just to do with the reduction in total calories rather than the drop in fat itself. It's more to do with the reduction in total calories. Now, with that being said, I would still again like to see fat approximately no lower than 30% of total calories. Now, despite what I've said above, this really is a very individual thing. This really is a trial and error thing. Some people generally perform better on high carbohydrates and feel better on high carbohydrates. Some people prefer higher fats and perform better on higher fats. But the key premise you need to remember, this must come underneath the umbrella of total protein and total calories met by the end of the day. So make sure that those two factors are in place first, and then feel free to experiment with different carbohydrate to fat ratios. So hopefully you found this useful. Hopefully that's made sense. Hopefully that's busted a few myths. And I look forward to speaking to you next week. If you're still yet to download my free ebook, How to Set Up a Nutrition Plan, if you go to James Layton, Layton Fitness.co.uk, you can see a tab at the top of the page and you can download that immediately. I look forward to speaking to you next week. Thank you very much.